Look, we all know the world is just a collection of various scams layered on top of each other like depressing lasagna. But lately, the smell coming from the US and the UK's aid kitchen is especially pungent. We're talking about a massive fraud investigation into Somali childcare programs that started in Minnesota and is now threatening to leap across the pond like a caffeinated herpes virus. Basically, someone noticed that while we are dumping billions into Somalia, the place still looks like a post-apocalyptic movie set, while in the West, certain entrepreneurs are allegedly treating taxpayer-funded childcare like a personal ATM. In the UK, we've got data showing a staggering 72% of Somali migrants living in social housing, yet the government is busy expanding childcare funding to the tune of 8 billion. It's a situation where the math doesn't just fail to add up. You will be yelled at by the woke mob, calling you a racist or Islamophobe if you dare to bring this up. Now, usually, when there's a smell of burning cash and questionable charity work, you expect to see two specific Montecito residents hovering nearby like vultures at a leftovers buffet. But remarkably, Archwell has stayed silent. There's no official word, no impact report printed on artisanal hemp paper, and zero mentions of Somalia on their website. It's almost like they're waiting to see which way the legal wind blows before they decide if, supporting Somali Joy is their next brand pivot. Of course, they have been busy with other things like getting delinquency notices for losing their own registration checks. Which, not gonna lie, that's impressive, honestly. It takes a special kind of talent to be a professional philanthropist and forget how to mail a letter. The mainstream media is also curiously quiet, which is weird because usually they would write 3,000 words if Meghan breathes too loudly near a lemon tree. There are no tabloid exposés or Guardian think pieces about this specific aid scandal yet. It's just a giant, hollow silence filled with the sound of bureaucrats shredding things. But while the papers are distracted by the sausages missing millions or their tendency to defund charities that say the wrong things, this Somali aid story is brewing in the basement. It is currently an unsubstantiated allegation that hasn't quite put on its suit and tie for a Daily Mail headline, but the numbers are sitting there staring at us. The internet, however, has no such filter. The resident truth teller over at the Royal Grift points out that since the Minnesota Somalian fraud is trending, it is not a far off stretch to assume this taxpayer theft is happening not only across many blue Democratic states like New York and California, but also could be happening in the European Union and the UK. Honestly, it makes sense. If you're Harry and Meghan watching someone else pull off a massive taxpayer-funded grift must feel like watching a rival athlete break your Guinness World Record. Did you know Meghan is in the kitchen right now angrily cutting potatoes, wondering why they didn't think of the childcare to Somalia pipeline first? It's much more efficient than selling expensive jam to people who already hate you. And then we have the sharp-tongued, opinionated Russian who is not buying the humanitarian act for a second. Nobody wants to go down with their money laundering scheme, as money laundering in the United States has been put on full blast due to the Somali migrants in Minnesota. Archwell is not a charity, it's a money laundering for Meghan's wardrobe and excessive lifestyle. That's a bold claim, but let's be real. Meghan's lifestyle requires the kind of overhead usually reserved for a small space program. You can't fund that many beige outfits and private jets by just being nice. You need a system. And if that system involves a charity that spends more on expenses than it does on actual humans, well, that's just good business in the sausage household. But before we continue, I found out really recently that so many of you don't know that I have a book myself about body language, nonetheless. Body language in 40 days, where you can learn how to control your own body language, read other people's body language, and use both of them to have magnetism and influence over everyone. So go check the link in the description of this video. Well, the ever skeptical, mystified asks the questions that we are all thinking. How does Archwell escape federal investigation when Harry's been using his 501c3 charity to fund PACs that push censorship legislation, not to mention grifting USAID funds for 2 fake royal tours to Colombia and Nigeria? Does Harry pay taxes anywhere? Harry paying taxes? That's adorable. Harry probably thinks taxes is just the name of a particularly aggressive polo pony. These two treat international diplomacy like a subsidized vacation where they get to lecture poor people about privilege while staying in $5,000 a night suites paid for by agencies that are supposed to be digging wells. That's a masterclass in irony that even the very Canadian Alanis Morissette couldn't handle. The royal grift returns to the fray, noting that the hits keep on coming. I already covered this, but Harry and Meghan were grifting at the state level. Majority of Archwell quote-unquote partnerships to help with the LA fires received fire aid money, including Meghan Markle's bestie's charity Alliance for Children's Rights. Of course they did. They don't just join a cause, they find the cause that already has a giant pile of money and then stand in front of it until people think they brought the cash themselves. Look at me, I am helping School of Philanthropy, where the help is mostly just a high-resolution photo op and a press release that uses the word empowerment. How many times? 42 times. That's the number, 42 times. Meghan Small adds a bit of perspective on their operating procedure. Harry and Meghan have slapped their names on a project that already exists and are trying to take the credit for it. Harry and Meghan love exploiting underprivileged children. That is pretty much their signature move since, forever. That's why we call them the Temu Royals. They're like the kid in the group project who shows up 10 minutes before the presentation. You know that kind of kid? Puts their name on the cover page in a slightly better font, maybe in Meghan's calligraphy. That could help. And then expects an A+ and a standing ovation. Except in this case, the project involves the actual lives of children, and the presentation is a Netflix documentary where Harry complains about his brother's brand new floor plan. And over at Charles' voicemail, he's looking at the actual ledgers. It can be revealed that the Archwell Foundation, yesterday rebranded as Archwell Philanthropies, recorded total expenses of $5.1 million while taking in donations of $2.1 million. It gave out grants in the year of just $1.25 million. This is the kind of math that makes a mob accountant sweat. They're spending $5 million to give away $1 million. Where's the other $4 million going? It's empowerment? Really that expensive per square foot? Or does it just cost that much to keep Harry's therapy bills and Meghan's PR team on 24-hour standby to delete mean comments on Instagram? Wait, right. Yeah, that's not necessary because you can't comment on her Instagram posts. But according to TASS hits the nail on the head regarding their recent struggles. I'm taking a guess here, but Archwell did badly financially last year, so I can only presume this year was far worse. They have been cut off from USAID money as well. The grift is getting harder, and they clearly splurge on themselves, using the donations as a personal piggy bank. It turns out that when you stop being a working royal, well, people eventually stop giving you donations and funding just for existing. Who knew? Now they're like two fading influencers trying to sell wellness to a crowd that has already realized this smoothie is just a lukewarm tap water and a bit of spite. But even the more conspiratorial corners of the web are buzzing. The fat book lover claims Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's arch wealth is a scam. This is why staff is always quitting. This despicable duo is being paid to bring down the royal family and cause division. You only receive money from USAID if you align with their agenda. While bringing down the monarchy sounds like a lot of work for a guy who once struggled to figure out how a toaster works, the part about the staff quitting is just a fact. I made a video about James Holt leaving, by the way. You should go watch that one. People flee that office like it's a sinking ship filled with Meghan's discarded hair tendrils. Because if your charity is a scam, the first people to notice are the ones actually filing the paperwork and realizing the global impact is just a bunch of fancy dinners. And Harry, you're holding that fork wrong. Please, man. Finally, insightful watch sums up the whole grimy spectacle. The overall conclusion from all the reviews of the Archwell Foundation and accounts which I have carried out over the last few years is simple and stark. The entire operation is a concentrated and USA taxpayer-funded exercise in self-promotion and PR grooming, mostly for themselves. But they are the only charity where the primary beneficiary is the person whose name is on the building. It's a closed loop of ego. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.